Hello, I wanted to explain some things to some people about my channel, about what I want to do. I'm hoping you guys can see this. All right. Um, Anyways, my main interest in this channel is using analytical psychology and using the typology of, Dr. John Beebe, Dr. Lyndon Behrens, and Dr. Jung, and you can correlate this with the MBTI. However, the letter dichotomy we only use as a reference point because that's what people are mostly used to. And so this is a newer soft science, and that comes into play. MBTI did help get this rolling a little bit, but they're pretty much outdated and obsolete at this point. Their test is very inaccurate, and for that matter, most people don't use it. My type is an ENTP. And what does that mean? I'm holding a little chalkboard here or whiteboard, which is typically not something I like to do. I am not a TE user. We don't like writing our thoughts down and reading thoughts that way. We process things and come to our conclusions in our own mind. And so TE is more or less writing things down. But for other TE users, for instance, because there's AT users and ATI users, they really appreciate this. And so let's go over some different things. Let's go over the interaction style. And so interaction style of an ENTP is movement, initiated, informative. So this makes us what people would consider an extrovert, which means we like to initiate conversation points. And so if we're in a conversation, we can change the subjects, no problem. This is the difference between responding and initiating. Now, a lot of people like to attribute this to shyness or outgoing. It's very false. Do not think that way. ISTPs are introverts, but they are very outgoing people. All right. ENTPs, for the most part, are shy at first, and ENFPs are in the same boat, which I'll explain later when we go over the cognitive functions. Okay. And so that means we'll change the subject. Okay. Movement's all about process. It's typically speaking, the way we go through life is a one size fits all, and we can operate very well in chaos. Okay, so we can jump from topic to topic to topic to topic and don't need things to be under control for us to function. This being said, we also can jump the subjects real quick, and so when we'll say movement types typically move their hands as well. Their body language is usually more all over the place. You can see this in people like Robin Williams, for instance, who's probably an ESFP or an ENFP. All over the place. Jim Carrey, all over the place. Jim Carrey's an ENTP. Those are movement types, and their minds are like that, and so we have no problems dwelling in chaos in that sense. And sometimes we'll use chaos to create order if we're put in a position of some kind of authority as a manager of some sort, for instance. Then we are informative. Informative means indirect. So some people say that we speak very cryptic. Okay, what does cryptic mean? It means we don't necessarily say what we mean and mean what we say. Sometimes we'll go a roundabout way and be a little bit long-winded to try to get you to come to the conclusion versus us trying to give you the conclusion. So this is different than mostly direct types. This can be very irritating to a lot of people. And so if you think of like shows like The View, which is very ISFJ, ESFJ focused, both those types are triple informative, and you see a bunch of women just like in a circle, just rambling a bunch of nonsense to most people. I mean, most direct men, for instance, can't stand that show for that very reason, because it's a lot of talking and getting nowhere. And so informative types such as us can come across as effeminate types. And so, and directs usually are more masculine for that matter. And so some people would say, well, ENTPs are kind of feminine-like, because you guys talk too much, you're informative, your movement, and all this other nonsense. It's not really that direct manliness that most other people have, which is fine, whatever. I'm an SI user, I don't care. People already hold it against me anyways. Okay, and so our main hero being our strongest cognitive function, okay, is NE. What is NE? NE is extroverted intuition. This is metaphysics. This is future possibilities, what may happen, what people want, what people are going to do. Not what they're doing, what they're going to do. Okay, and so you think of people who are ENTPs, they usually get into analytics, and they start projecting, economic futures and social futures and things like that. we're very good. We walk into a building, for instance, we case out the joint to see impending dangers of what may happen. This can lead to a lot of anxiety problems in our types. A lot of people if they don't understand how to control this, through maturity, they can become very anxious people. The parent function, this is your responsibility. This is what you control your whole ego with, is your parent, because it's your responsible type. And so the parent type is TI, which is logic, not rationale, but logic. So logic is true and false. So you receive information, if that process, then this. So you come to your own conclusion. So what is true and false is a personal matter. While a T user, more or less, their true or false comes from the collective and what book they read, what experts said, what their professor said, what someone they trust said, where they got it verified. Their verification is external, mine is internal. And so this can lead to problems. It's also going to lead to a lot of benefits. Sometimes I can just take information from, like, for instance, CSjoseph, who's also an ENTP, and jump to my own conclusions and come to other conclusions that other people cannot, and they want to know how I process that. Well, so he gives us this information, so if this is true, that means this is true too, and then I can connect it with all other points of interest. And so that's kind of how we do it with TI. Okay, so TI, parent is a pessimistic function because it's responsible, and so it's not going to be all like, ha, ha, ha. Hero function is very optimistic. It's more, let's welcome everything, and more excited about it. Now, the child function also is an optimistic function. The child function is your sense of innocence, essentially. This is FE, this is ethics, this is other people's feelings, not my feelings, other people's feelings. And so what does that mean? It means that I get my sense of right and wrong and my decision making based on right and wrong from the external world. I could get it from a church, I can get it from my group of friends, from my parents, from just random things I see on TV. It could FE users are very diversified. And this is one of the reasons why ENTPs do not believe in evil, because evil is subjective, because ethics change country to country to country to country to country. And while being a gay male, I had to be very cautious when I go to places like Egypt or Jordan or Israel. Well, not necessarily Israel, is pretty gay friendly, but these people have different ethics that control their nation. Does that make them all evil because they want to throw me off a building? I'm not going to go that far and condemn an entire nation over that. That's just what they've been taught. And so that's what it is. And so ENTPs are aware that these ethics do change depending on where we are. Okay, and so that's that. Now, SI inferior. Your inferior function is pessimistic, and is also your insecurity and your fear. Not your worry, but your fear. So what you are insecure with. SI is trying new things. ENTPs typically don't like getting a new phone because we have to reprogram it and make it ourselves again, and we're uncomfortable with this new phone. All right. Many ENTPs are afraid of trying new foods. They don't like the idea of being uncomfortable with some kind of food they cannot eat and they do not like, and so they'll usually stick with the same thing over and over again. This also comes to a case we're afraid of being disloyal, we're afraid of being unfaithful, we're afraid of being impatient, and so this can deter us from doing certain things in life because we think we're going to fail on certain aspects of our duty. SI is duty, SI is faith, SI is patience, SI is long-term memory. So we could be fearful that we're going to forget something, and so we work really hard on our memories, even though we have great memories. And it's kind of funny. And so later in some other lectures, we'll talk about how you can aspire. And so when you start using your SI, instead of being afraid of it, you can aspire and become a happier person as your ISFJ aspiration. Okay, let's just keep going with the main basic 8. Okay, I don't want to get too confusing with this first video. Our shadow function, this is where we argue with. This is when we're feeling uncomfortable. This is where we go. And so let's say you attack our SI, call us an unloyal bastard, and we have no faith, blah, blah, blah. You're going to trigger us to go into our shadow, which is the nemesis function, which is NI, what we want. Now, NI is your worry. I mean, your nemesis is your worry. So NI is you worry about your own personal future. And so ENTPs typically will have this nemesis correlate with their any hero to find people to keep them secure and keep them comfortable. Okay, and so this sometimes can be turned into what many people consider usury, where we find security with others and we find them on our own to secure our own future. Okay, ENTPs worry about their future. Most of them are into health. Most of them are into nutrition. Most of them follow pretty strict diets in their mid-20s. They'll flip-flop. In their teens, they probably ate like garbage, but usually as they get older, they start to realize, hey, we need to start, thinking about our future. Critic function. This is your hypocrisy, essentially. And so your critic function is TE. We automatically think other people are stupid. Okay, so other people's thoughts are usually irrelevant to us. We don't really care about hearing them. This is where the hypocrisy comes in, because you need to understand that TE is absorbing other people's thoughts, and this is how you learn. So if you consider them all stupid, you're going to become ignorant yourself because you're not reading all this other material. So a wise ENTP will read books, will listen to other people, and will absorb that TE in a wise way instead of a critical way. We're also critical of names. TEs are labels. We hate being labeled stuff. We don't like compliments, good or bad. We don't like, it's just like, you can't really name call on us because it's like we'll laugh it off because we don't have any respect for bad names or good names, and for instance, my pets and things like that, I just call them cat and dog, and that's pretty standard. It's like the names doesn't have as much value and does as others because we're critical of them anyways. Trickster is something, it's a positive function that you think you have but you don't really. In this case, this is FI. That's morality. Young ENTPs think they're moral people, but they're actually amoral. As you get older, you realize you have no sense of morality. You have no sense of self-values. Your values come from the exterior. And so with FI trickster, sometimes you struggle with finding self-worth. You struggle with understanding why things are right and wrong and why people get so upset over things. We don't really get too passionate about certain things. Political football topics such as abortion or gay marriage, things like that. Even though I'm a gay man myself, I don't really get too worked up about it because I don't have any measurable FI to go, oh my God, you are attacking me. I don't care. If somebody wants to hate me for being gay, so be it. I don't care. And so that's your trickster, something you think you have, but you don't really. And so it tricks you. Demon function. This is what pretty much triggers you to make you angry. It's very hard to upset ENTPs. For the most part, people consider us pretty robotic. We do get upset on other people being hurt, not necessarily ourselves, because SE is physical nature. Okay, so it's physics. And so sometimes you'll see like the video of the man driving his Tesla while he's asleep and is driving a car. I guarantee that guy's an ENTP. Completely unaware of his physical safety and what's around him, what's his surroundings. You want to look at the head coach of the Los Angeles Rams, clearly an ENTP. He's got SE demon. You can watch YouTube videos that says get back coach because he's unaware of where he is. And so SE demon is our lowest function. And so this also can include art. Our art is pretty screwed up. When I was doing music, I was, it's angry. It was, heavy metal, things like that. Typically speaking, if you can see a heavy metal band singer, it's going to be an INTP or an ENTP, more likely. It's going to be low SE. Sometimes an ENFP will do it too, but they're usually not that angry. And so it could be real screwed up art in that sense. And so it's an interesting concept about that. So this is just a basic rundown of an ENTP so you can kind of understand where I'm coming from. We'll go back into ISFJ and ESFP, superego, and your aspiration later at another time. But I don't want to have this video being too long. And so I'm going to stop that here. And SE Demon also does not care about the quality of this video. And I'm not doing this for a production, so you should be happy that I'm doing it all. And so it won't be too professional.